Hello everybody and welcome to Project Trade. This is the Trading Highlights show, and in this one we're going to be looking at a technical trading strategy. The strategy was developed by Larry Connors and Cesa Alvarez, and it revolves around the Relative Strength Index indicator, the RSI-2 strategy. If they were able to make money from it, I don't see why we can't do the same. The first thing we'll have to do though is figure out what the overall trend of the market is, and the indicator that's going to help us do that is the 200 period simple moving average. Here's about what the average will look like on your price chart. It's adding together each of the individual prices for the last 200 periods and then dividing that total figure by 200. The aim is to try and smooth out the noise of the market and to try and find some normality amongst the chaos of price. And the second indicator we're using is of course the centerpiece of the strategy. You already know it's the Relative Strength Index, and it's got a period input of just 2. There it is. Look at that zip on that when it's set as fast as 2 periods. Some pretty jagged moves there on the reading. By default, the RSI tries to find out when price is overbought or oversold using a scale of 0 to 100 as its measurement. A reading of 100 meaning that the asset is as overbought as possible, and a reading of 0 meaning that the asset is as oversold as possible. That's all I'm going to say about it here. If you do want more information on either the Relative Strength Index or the Simple Moving Average, we do have videos on both of those, which will be linked in the description. But here and now, let's find out the exact criteria that we'll need to see satisfied in those indicators to get us an entry into a trade. With our 200 period simple moving average, if price is closed above that average, then we are only going to be taking buy entry signals. And if price is closed below the 200, it will be sell trade city only for us. Then for the RSI, we'll be using it to determine those overbought, oversold signals, but we'll only be entering when the RSI value closes above 95 or below 5. For readings above 95, we'll therefore enter a sell trade, and for readings below 5, we'll enter a buy trade. Larry Connors did test the strategy with levels of 90 and 10 and found there was a higher rate of success when using the 95 and 5 levels. So that is exactly what we are going for, that higher rate of success. In essence, the strategy is looking for re-entry points after retracements on a larger overall trend. A couple entry examples here then. Price is currently above the 200 period moving average, meaning that the market is in an overall uptrend, so we are on the lookout for buy trades. And our signals come when we see where the RSI closes below that reading of 5, so at the close of those candles would be where we make our entries. And here are some sell side entry examples that demonstrate where the strategy could go wrong. Price is currently below the 200 moving average, so the market is in an overall downtrend. But we get these 3 signals in quick succession here where the RSI reads above 95, so we enter sell trades assuming that it's become overbought. But guess what? Price just keeps on going. All 3 of those right there, they are going to be losers. And probably this one too. We do get a nice one over here, to be fair. Should get profits out of that one. But then back over here again, very dicey, and we can't see any point after where we'd be in profit for it. So it is probably just going to be another loss. These are the trades that we are not going to be pleased with at all. That's why we've got to be careful to manage our money on these trades so that we don't get no margin call in the coming days and weeks. Believe it or not, and I really don't care whether you do or don't, Larry Connors did not recommend a stop loss on this strategy. He had a lot of faith in the concept of mean reversion, and we have a lot of faith in Larry Connors. So we're going with his recommendation of using the 5 period simple moving average to determine when we exit our trade. That means that when we are in a buy trade, we will shut it off when price closes above the 5 period simple moving average. Think for a second that as the RSI must have been reading as oversold for us to enter the buy trade, then also the price will have certainly been below the 5 period simple moving average at that point. We can therefore rely on price to eventually revert above the 5 period simple moving average, and that is when we exit. Although it's worth noting, this could of course still be for a loss. And just the same but in reverse, when we're in a sell trade from that overbought RSI signal, we'll exit our trade when the price closes below the 5 period simple moving average. The point to this is that really we should be getting in and out of these trades quite hastily, as price will rarely ever stay beyond a 5 period simple moving average for too long. Here we've got an example chart with our indicators pulled up, the 5 period simple moving average in white, and at the bottom right of the price chart you can just about see our 200 period moving average in purple. Because price is above that average, we are in for buy trades only right now. That means we are waiting for the RSI to give us that oversold reading of price where it's below 5. So here is our first entry signal. Once we're in, that's when we're looking for price then to move above the 5 period simple moving average so we can exit that trade. And that does in fact happen on the next candle. Price had a very quick run up and would have grabbed us some profits there. Another entry signal then comes over here when the RSI value moves below 5 again, and just a couple periods later we're back out again with some profits when price closes above that sharp moving 5-period average. It's not always going to work out happy go profits though. In this example we're looking for buying opportunities again since price is above the 200-period average. That's our entry over there on the right, and so we'd be in with a buy trade and hoping for the return of price. But you can see where the price finally crosses the moving average, and it's quite a bit down from where we entered our trade, so that's going to be a pretty stiff loss, and we are going to see those kind of trades from time to time, so we will have to mentally brace ourselves for that disappointment. Another important aspect of our money management though is how much we've actually risked by the time we do exit the trade. What do you do if you're someone who wants to risk a fixed amount of your capital on each trade? For example, a lot of traders like to stick to a 2% capital risk per trade. Well, you need a stop loss for that, a fixed location for where you know the trade will actually end. But because Larry Connors teaches you not to use a stop loss and instead recommends that 5-period average as your exit signal, then we don't know where exactly our exit will be. Don't start sweating from your elbows just yet though. There are ways to help you not lose everything you've ever worked for. Some people blah about using an actual trailing stop loss with the parabolic stop and reverse. Lame stop loss. For our strategy, it just helps with the risk. We are going to draft in our old pal, the average true range. Check the video linked in the description for more about the indicator, but in a shell, the ATR is a single line volatility oscillator which measures the average price range of a candle within the lookback period. That lookback period by default is 14 periods, and that's exactly what we'll be using. In the top left of the indicator, you can see where it tells us its exact reading, and we will be taking that ATR reading and we will set the risk of our trade at 1% capital risk reward per every 1 times ATR value. Still no stop loss, so if price goes 5 times ATR against us without reverting back across that 5-period simple moving average, then we lose 5% capital. If it goes 100 times ATR against us, well, risky for sure, and we could see the damage add up, but for now it is Larry Connors that we put our trust in. The last couple bits then, we are going to be trading this on the daily time frame, often alleged to be the most consistent time frame, so we'll see how that goes. And because we are on the daily time frame, we're not just going to stick to one chart and have to wait a lifetime for an entry. We are going with all 28 of the Forex major and minor pairs. That is 8 individual currencies across those 28 pairs. For anyone unfamiliar, it's the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the euro, the pound, the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar. But we'll have no more than one trade open per individual currency. So if we do get an entry signal, say for a US dollar pair, when we're already in another US dollar pair, then we move along with no new entry signal. Finally, we will be journaling all our trades so that we can track our progress and try and figure out exactly how good or bad this strategy really is. Now, that's all we need apart from our platform, so let's jump into MetaTrader. Here we are then on the charts, just gone 11:30 in the evening. On the daily time frame of the Australian dollar US dollar pair, just pulled this one up as our first example here. You can see our indicators, the dark violet moving average there, 200 periods and simple. The 5-period simple moving average in white here, you can see that very closely tracking price. And the crown jewel of the whole operation here, the RSI 2-period input. What I'll do is just go through this one first as an example. So we can see price is below the moving average, the 200-period moving average. So therefore we are looking for sell trades only, which means we want the RSI to become overbought. So we need it at a reading of 95 or above. Currently only at 67.87. So that means this is not overbought enough for us to be able to get an entry signal. Maybe if we can get a couple more days of big green. But now what we'll do is cycle through the other 27 currency pairs, so all the pairings of the 8 majors, and we'll look to see if there's any entries for us or anything interesting going on in the chart. Bit of a whistle stop tour, but I won't show you every pair because a lot of them will just not be interesting. Here we go. The US dollar Canadian dollar almost giving us a signal here. Price is above the 200-period moving average, indicating buy trades for us, and we see the RSI down at 5.69. Pretty nice, but not nice enough because we need it at least 5 or below to give us that buy signal. So it is worth watching where this goes in the future, but not an entry we'll take right now. The US dollar Japanese yen, we can see the RSI 2-period indicator is actually above 95 here, which would mean a sell signal, but price is comfortably above that 200-period moving average. You can barely see it, and it has been above it for the last few months. So no trade for us here. Another pairing here showing us a signal above 95, but price again above the 200-period moving average. So that's the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen pair. Quite the run up, but enough to carry it back over that 200-period moving average. So no entry signal for us. Euro Canadian dollar doing the reverse. We have got a buy signal, the RSI down at 2.5 there, but the price below the 200 period moving average. Very almost a signal here on the Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar pair. If we see one more green day, it's likely to push that RSI above 95, giving us the sell signal. Not quite there yet though. Hopefully it comes. And our final pair here, the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. It's gone into that overbought territory, 96 at the moment, but price above that 200 moving average. So no signals for us on day one. Couple close ones. So the signals will come, we just got to be patient. And that means we will do nothing for the next 24 hours, but we will be back at the same time tomorrow to see if we've got any entry signals then. Here we are then, back for day 2 on our charts again. You can see our indicators, the moving averages, plus the RSI-2 period. If we had any active trades, we'd take a look at those first. Since we don't, let's just scroll through our 28 currency pairs, see if we've got any entry signals. That US dollar Japanese yen pair up at 98 on the RSI. We're sell trades only though. Can't get in here. Euro Japanese yen above 95 as well, but prices just crept over that 200 average. No signal. Same on the Swiss franc yen chart. It remains above 95. We had the option here, you see, yesterday to get in this trade here. So far, wouldn't be doing very well. Be looking to get across the moving average to close it. Therefore, red days is what we'd want. So close to a signal here on the pound Aussie dollar. RSI at 5.47, getting into oversold territory with price above the 200 average. But we need it to drop that little bit lower and get 5 or below. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar as well, very close to a signal here. RSI up at 94.82. If we could see it just creep above that 95, we would be in with a sell trade because price far below that 200 moving average there. See if it comes tomorrow. That's all the currency pairs, so again, no signals today. Gotta be patient with it, they will come. Again, a couple very close there. We will see whether or not they come into fruition tomorrow. Day 3, we are back on the charts. Let's go through those currency pairs, see if we can get our first entry yet. US dollar Swissy going to overbought above 95, price above the 200 average though, no signal for us. The US dollar Japanese yen pair, it went into overbought territory above 95, and look at how far that is running away from you already. This is why we've got that overall market filter on there. And we do have a signal here. The Australian dollar New Zealand dollar pairing, it is above overbought territory, currently RSI at 98.4, price below the 200 moving average, so we can take a sell trade. Before we dive in, let's just make sure we haven't got any competing trade entries out there. No other signals out there, which means we are completely free to take this one here. Sell trade against the Australian dollar. Let's pull up our average true range indicator. Our average true range reading 56.6 pips. We will risk 1% of our capital for that amount. Again though, no stop loss, so if it keeps going, before recrossing this 5 period simple moving average, we have to take the hit. That's how Larry Connors wanted it. What is our account balance then? $9,119.22. Nice round number to start us off. You can see on screen how we've calculated our risk for this, and that means our volume will be at 0.23 lots, and it's a sell trade from the overbought territory. Good stuff, finally getting in. Nothing else for us to do then. We'll come back in 24 hours time and we'll see if price kind of made its way down here beneath the 5 period moving average. Hopefully there's a bit of profit in it for us. Day 4 then, and we have our open trade pulled up. Hasn't gone to our favor so far, it's continued even higher now. RSI up at 99.03, only $47.98 in loss. That's including the 130 swap. 5 period moving average, still got a good way to catch up. Hopefully a big red day comes, or a couple big red days, gets us across there and gets us some profit. Not looking too bad at the moment, but obviously not great. We'll see if we've got any other trades out there tonight. This would have been a nice one. If say you were only taking RSI signals of 99 or above, that would have been your time there on a sell trade, and you could have made some pretty nice profit as it comes below the average here. Trades that could have been. Here's a trade where you could really be struggling though. If you were taking all signals below 5, you'd have been in a sell trade here, and it's still yet to cross that 5 period moving average. That's why we've got a filter. So there we go, no more signals on the charts today. We'll just keep hoping the price comes back down this Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar trade, gets below the 5 period moving average so we can grab some profits. We won't know though until we're back tomorrow in around about 24 hours time. Day 5 right at the end of the week, and we've got our Australian dollar New Zealand dollar chart pulled up. Has been a red day, good to see. Not enough to get us into profit now. I think we were about $40 down yesterday when we checked. Now into 32. That 5 period is creeping towards our entry price. Still a chance to see a big red candle come though, and snatch a bit of profits. Nothing for us to do with the trade though. Why don't we scroll through those charts? Overbought signal 97.65 on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc, price above the 200 though. No signal. No entries at all again, which means it's just our Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar trade keeping us going. So hope that eventually it can find the light, aka profits. It does look like the low of the day came very close to just about getting us in the money, potentially. Not enough though. Don't like to see that pullback. Let's have big red come in. It is the weekend now, so we will be back on the 4th of the 10th with a lot of enthusiasm for seeing us get some profits. Let's make it happen. Day 6, it's a new week. Our trade still not in profit and not ready to be closed just yet. Above that 5-period moving average, which we do see the white line comes past our entry price. All we want is one big red day now tomorrow. Get us into profit, get us below that 5-period moving average, get us some money. Again though, nothing for us to do with it. Let's have a look at those other currency pairs, see if we got any entries. Euro Swiss franc getting below 5 on the RSI, but price is below that 200-period moving average, so we ignore it and we move on. Same story on the Euro CAD, big sell-off on price, RSI below 5. Nothing else of interest and certainly no new entry signals for us. We'll just come back tomorrow and check again. Day 7, our Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar trade hanging in there. Price a little bit above the average still. It's not good to be hanging in there. We still got this hope of one big red day coming. We see it did find quite a low. If that had been the close, or even if it was back from the close, be looking pretty good. Still though, we continue to wait. No more green candles at least. Otherwise it stays above the 5-period. And who knows what happens at that stage. Let's check out those other charts, see what we got. So close to a signal here on the Euro Aussie dollar. RSI down at 5.87. Price above the 200 average. Nearing that buy trade. One more day of red and we should see it come. Sell-off continues on the Euro CAD. RSI down at a value of 2. Eesh, a lot of red. More red than the towns I paint. On the Australian dollar Japanese yen pair, we are seeing the RSI at a reading of 95.16. This was overbought with the price below the 200-period moving average, which means we can get into a sell trade, but because we are already in an Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar trade, we don't want to shovel on too much risk onto one currency pair, i.e. the Australian dollar, because with 2 sell trades against it, if that has a strong day, and especially because we don't have a stop loss on, things could go really badly. We will not be taking it. We'll be patient about it. And that is it. So no extra entries. This one still seems to be going green. Let's hope for that to return. We still want that big red day. Nothing changes for us here. But maybe it will have changed in 24 hours time. Day 8, and we are facing a real gut shot wound. The RSI on our Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar trade again is above 95, 97.35 to be precise. But the end result of that means we are currently down on this trade, $122.95 as we read it now, including the swaps. We are really hankering for a massive red day tomorrow because price is still on the upside of the 5-period moving average. The questionability of this strategy to exclude a stop loss is already being called into question on day 8 with only one trade in. Still though, let's stay optimistic and believe that there is better trades out there for us. See if we can find them. We had been gearing in pretty close to a trade on the US dollar Canadian dollar, hoping price was going to come down enough to stay above the moving average, but also enough to push this RSI below the 5 level. Doesn't get there though. With a small green candle today, we see it push upwards. Here comes our signal and it is on the Euro Australian dollar. RSI reading 3.79. Oversold territory. Prices above the EMA. Long-term bull pattern. But we cannot take it because we are already in an Australian dollar trade. Ah, rats. Never mind, need to maintain sensibility, so let's move on and see if there are any legitimate signals out there. And that is it, no signals on the charts. We continue to remain hopeful and faithful to this trade. Let's hope it rides that elevator down tomorrow. Big red on the Aussie dollar, that's all we want. We'll see if it comes tomorrow. Day 9 and the bad gets worse. It is another green day for the Aussie dollar. RSI now up at 98.6. We still need that big reversal, a red candle, something to get us beneath that 5-period moving average. But it is not looking good for the lack of stop loss. It started as hopefully we get some good profit, to hopefully we break even, to now being at hopefully we don't lose too much. Let's see if there's any other signals out there for us though. Hopefully 1 or 2 to get in on, perhaps. Did have that signal on the Euro Aussie dollar as well, which we didn't want to take up. And we can see it's a good thing that we didn't. It would have been a buy trade in here. So far down about 95 pips. At the moment this chart does make a good case for why you shouldn't go into multiple trades on the same currency pair at the same time. Seems like we could have dodged a bullet there. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Couldn't have taken this, but the RSI does stay below 5. Increased sell-off. But still no new signals come for us. And I'm going to be honest, we want something terrible to happen. We need an awful day for the Australian dollar. Maybe if Uluru collapsed or something like that. Could see it plummet down to the good. Something needs to get us out of this hole. We cannot have price keep going and going and going. Not a good look. Especially since we're in a sell trade, the higher it goes, the more we stand to lose. But we won't know anything until we come back tomorrow to find out. Day 10, it's a lonely trade. At least we didn't see big green. We have seen the RSI dip below 90. Small red day, even if it got to the low, wouldn't have been a close. That 5-period moving average is still on a bit of a chase. So we'll continue to let this one run. Costs us quite a bit at the moment, but we're still hopeful for that red day. Always hopeful. Always. Alright, let's see if we got any other trades out there to close the week off. Well, we have seen the US dollar, Canadian dollar find its way beneath 5 on the RSI. It's in the oversold territory at 3.25 the reading. But price went down far enough that it's gone below the moving average now. We need it to be above there for us to be able to get into a trade. So sadly, no signal for us. That one had showed some promise. We needed a bit of red. Maybe if it had come down to about here or so, that could be a nice entry for a rebound. We'll watch where that one goes. RSI again above 95 on the US dollar yen chart. Not a signal for us, but this could be the middle of a second really big run for the dollar against the yen. We saw that one there. Came up 2.5% nearly, retraced, and now the second move. Swiss franc yen, and the yen has had a terrible day as we see big green on this chart in favor of the franc. RSI at 98.98, price above the 200 though. The euro CAD sinks deeper. When it went into oversold territory at 95, it was about here. So if you'd got in this trade, that'd be about 1.5% against you at the moment, even worse than our open trade. Good filtering there by the 200 average. Pound Canadian dollar getting below 95 as well. Guess what though? Price is below the 200 as well. Same for the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. No signal. Almost a signal here on the Aussie dollar yen. The RSI is just above 93, almost in that overbought territory. Price is beneath the moving average, only by a bit though. So we need to see another green day, but not so much for a green day that it pushes above that average. Still no other entries out there for us, so we remain with our solo solemn trade. You can see exactly what's going on, including the swap, $169.56 down. Let's not give in to those false signals. Let's wait for the good ones, just like this one. Of course, we'll be back. Day 11, and the pain continues. Another gut shot wound. Total $237.13 down. Whew. This is getting bad, and yeah, not a lot to say about it. Let's just have a look, see if there's any trades out there. Euro-Japanese yen pair. The RSI does make it across the 95. Also above the moving average though now. Missing out on some of these signals. Same story on the Swiss franc Japanese yen. The yen having an awful day. Here we got the RSI up at 99.69. So close to 100. Signal almost there on the pound Aussie dollar. If we see the RSI come below 5, currently at 5.37. Might be an entry signal in the next couple of days. Hopefully if we get out of this other Aussie dollar trade. Pound CAD really oversold at 1.96, but price still below the average. Aussie dollar yen, it's another one that's gone to the overbought territory against the yen. It's been such a sell-off that the price has once again shifted above the average, avoiding our signal. Not that we could take it anyway because, well, this Aussie dollar trade right here is still open. And finally the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, just the same. What a whirlwind of a day for the yen. But it does mean no more signals for us. That kind of day that the yen had, we could really do for the Aussie dollar having that kind of day. Maybe. Let's find out tomorrow. Day 12, still in the trade. Let's try and find greener pastures. Not that these pastures aren't green. Greener for us. Better for us. Nearing in on the Australian dollar, US dollar pair. 93.42 on the RSI. If we see a green day tomorrow, should be able to get in. The US dollar still strengthening against the Japanese yen. If you tried to get in this overbought signal, it's not going well for you. Same with the pound yen. Another red day on the Euro Canadian dollar. Never get tired of seeing them. Signal comes on the pound Australian dollar, but because we're already in this Australian dollar trade, we can't take it. We'd be going in favor of the pound against the Aussie dollar. We're already against the Aussie dollar. Let's not go mad with our risk. Pound CAD stays overbought. RSI down as far as 1.25. So that does mean no new signals for us again. We've only had them come on the Aussie dollar, but because we've been stuck in on this one, we haven't been able to take any others. That's the way it goes. We'll come back in 24 hours time to see what's next. Day 13 on the RSI-2. Price did come red a little bit today for our trade. Not enough to get below the moving average. Well, the low is enough to get beneath there, but not the close. It has receded since that low, which means we are still in the trade around about $250 down and paying for the pleasure through the swap as well. See if we've got any other trades out there. And there is a signal on the Australian dollar US dollar pair. RSI in overbought territory with price under the moving average. Can't take this one because we're already in the Aussie dollar trade, but we will keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Nearing in on a sell signal on the pound US dollar. If we see another day of green, should come. RSI below 5 again on the US dollar CAD. Same signal as before. We can't take it because price is just below the moving average, so we miss out on that one. If you had taken the previous signal with a buy trade here, you'd still be in it right now with a little bit of a loss. US dollar Swiss franc, big red candle today. If we see another one of those, RSI could get beneath 5, get us in with a buy signal mayhaps. Another green day on the New Zealand US dollar pair, could see a signal come here to the sell side. Would have proved mediocre on back testing this one right here. And you'd probably cut it down here across the moving average for about 15 pips in your favour. Pretty small win, but it would have been a win nonetheless. Euro CAD finally comes green. Still, this would be a damaging run for you if you'd taken a buy signal on one of these candles when it crossed through 5. If you were taking a sell trade from this Canadian dollar going into overbought territory, that's the type of trade you're after with this strategy. You'd have made about 42 pips there as it whipsaws back today. Couldn't have taken that signal because of the filter, but that is really a prime example of what you're after with these trades. Maybe we'll see it one day. No actual entry signals for us today though. Let's see if they come tomorrow. Day 14, and we can finally close this trade, our Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar trade. It is now beneath the 5-period moving average, and we are thankful that it made quite a move below there, rather than just limping up to about here. So we can manually close that one off for a loss of $158.63. Could have been a lot worse. I think at the peak we were around about $260 down, so a blessing in the end. And this was the third time that the RSI went into the overbought territory on this uptrend. We got in at the first one, and you can see exactly how much money we lost. If you'd been in on the second overbought signal, well, you wouldn't have lost too much, just a bit down. But it was the third overbought signal up here that would have got you the gains. That's your ideal signal. You'd net about 68, 69 pips there. What could have been, what could have been. That trade is now done. Let's see if we've got any other entries out on the chart. Might have a new one on the Aussie dollar now maybe. And sure enough, we do have a signal on the Aussie dollar, US dollar. We might be in a bit of luck because the signal did come yesterday originally. It's had a green day though, so now we might be getting in at a better position. It's nearer to this resistance level, and after a strong run, we might see a retracement. So at the moment, we are eyeing up a sell trade on the Aussie dollar, US dollar this time. Let's get back in there, but we'll first check if there's any other trade options for us. Pound US dollar getting close as well. If it had finished at this high right up there, that could have been a signal. Great British Pound Japanese Yen pair, RSI up at 99.25. We're seeing this on a lot of currency pairs. The yen has had another weak day, following a weak period in general for it. Every other major currency pair out there gaining against the yen right now. We're getting a genuine signal here out of the New Zealand dollar US dollar pair, selling up to sell off its move to the overbought territory, price still below the moving average. So that's the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar, both giving us short signals against the US dollar. We can only pick one since they both got the US dollar in them. Let's first check, make sure there's no others out there. Back to the norm here for the Euro Canadian dollar after a day's respite. New lows. Look at how much the New Zealand dollar gained against the yen today. Big move, the Japanese yen getting crushed. Pound New Zealand dollar almost came with a signal. RSI 3.68 in that oversold territory, but it has zipped all the way beneath the moving average on that move. No signal, no other trade entry options for us. So we've got our two competitors lined up against one another. Is it going to be the Aussie dollar US dollar pair or the New Zealand dollar US dollar pair that we're going for? They're both giving an overbought signal, so we're being told to sell off both of them. That means we want to choose the one which is weaker. We want to give ourselves the highest chance possible. So all we're going to do is look back at our Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pair. This is the one we just lost on. And we can see we're only going to go on today's candle. That's our decider, and we can see the Australian dollar was weaker today than the New Zealand dollar. That does mean that we would rather sell off the Aussie dollar than the New Zealand dollar. If you're in the same situation though and you decide to use a different way of determining which trade to go in on, that's completely fair enough. This is just the one that we're using at the moment. So let's forget about these charts and we'll zoom in purely on the Australian dollar US dollar pair. And let's grab our average true range indicator so we can measure out our risk. The ATR showing 66.3 pips as a reading. And remember, we are risking 1% of our capital per 1 times ATR value. So you can see on screen how our risk is calculated for the trade. And our risk is measured out at 0.1351 standard lots. That means we are going to round that up to 0.14. And we have ourselves a sell trade. Let's hope this one goes better than our Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pair. We do need to start winning back some of those losses if we want to see the strategy do well overall. That's it for us though. We're back in. This is nearly as high as the RSI can go, 99.16, almost tilting up to 100. We could see 100 if we get a green day, but we won't know for another 24 hours until we come back to find out. Day 15, and we are going to be keeping our trade open over the weekend. It's not really had a lot of movement today. It did come up some, but not much at all. Only about 15-20 pips before it's back down, almost our entry price again. We are paying on the swap, but that 5-period moving average still chasing price. If we get a couple red candles, there's definitely profit to be had here. For now, the RSI maintains a very high level, 99.25. Nothing for us to do with the trade. Let's see if there's any others out there. Euro US dollar. Let's see a big green push over the next couple of days. Let's get that RSI above 95. Give us a signal. And we are getting it from the pound US dollar. Can't trade it because we're already in on the Australian dollar US dollar pair. Don't want conflicting trades for our US dollar, but this is a sell signal for you. RSI at 97.44, price below the average. We'll try and track what happens with that one. Every currency pair strengthening against the Japanese yen. Here you can see the Australian dollar against it the last few days. Been stuck in overbought territory, but this is nothing particular about the Australian dollar. I mean, we've been in multiple sell trades against that currency pair, but against the yen, it's cruising. Well, you've done good to stay in this trade for another day if you were on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pair. We've seen another candle just like yesterday. Still would have been a loss for us, but less of a loss. Here's the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen as well. Look at that climb against the yen. People are not interested at all in the Japanese yen right now. They want out of that currency and they don't care where they go. Euro, New Zealand dollar getting into pretty deep oversold territory. Price below the average though, not a signal for us. Pound New Zealand dollar pair. If you'd got in a buy trade yesterday here when it went into oversold territory, you wouldn't be down too much at the moment, but you certainly wouldn't have had the spring that you wanted. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, so close to a signal here. Price comfortably below our 200-period moving average. And the RSI, it looked like it might have been overbought territory, but it's not. The RSI currently reading 94.1. Almost there. One more green day should see it. But that does mean no new signals for us. We remain in this Australian dollar, US dollar pair. And it will be 72 hours before we're back to check again on how they're doing. But I am optimistic that we will be doing pretty well. This is quite a run we've seen on the Australian dollar over the last few weeks. So it come back down just like it has against the New Zealand dollar. Day 16, how are we looking? Just a very tiny amount in profit, 16 cents at the moment. Price not below the 5-period average yet, but it is creeping there. We did see the low get below that average. Maybe if we could have a day where that low is the close, be nice to snag some profits. See if we've got any other trade entries out there. Euro US dollar looking like it could get to a signal in the next couple of days. RSI at 90.23, getting very close to overbought, and price well below our 200-period moving average. Let's have a green candle like that one, and we'll get that signal. On the Great British Pound US dollar chart, if you'd taken that sell signal on Friday, at the moment, yeah, you'd be a touch in profit, maybe about 13-14 pips or so. We've got the New Zealand dollar US dollar chart here. And let's not forget that we did have the option of getting into a trade on this chart, a sell trade, instead of the sell trade on the Australian dollar US dollar chart. And how would that be going? Yeah, not so good. Good thing our filtering system took us into the Australian dollar US dollar trade. That's how it looks at the moment, at least. Another green day for the US dollar against the Japanese yen. One more of those and we'll likely see overbought territory once more. And the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar would still be in your favour if you took that sell signal right up here and rode it down. Actually an oversold territory now, RSI at 4.15. Euro CAD coming green today. If we could finally see a couple more of those candles, doesn't seem likely with this current trajectory, but if we could, might be a good sell-off opportunity if it can get into the overbought territory. We are getting a genuine signal, a signal that we can take. Sell signal on the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar pair. Feels a little bit risky to sell off the New Zealand dollar at the moment, but we do see our price below the 200 period moving average, and we see our 2-period RSI up at 96.48. Just check the remaining pairs, see if there's any other signals out there. Getting an overbought signal on the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc pair as well, but in this case price is above the average, so no signal there. That means we can focus on our New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar pairing. And as we don't have any other trades going for our New Zealand dollar or Canadian dollar, let's pull up the average true range. We have got a reading on the ATR of 60.5 pips, so it'll be 1% risk for that distance. And so you can see our risk, you can see how it's all calculated. And that means we can punch in 0.18 as our volume, and we can click that red button there to sell off the market. We are in no stop loss to set, as we know. We're hoping that it's going to come down below that moving average, the 5-period white line there. A few days like that and we'll be looking groovy. That's all we need to do though, so this time tomorrow we'll see how both our trades are getting on. Day 17, neither of our trades going well. Let's look first at the Australian dollar US dollar trade. Well, it ranged for those first 2 days as we saw. Now it's taken a big green candle. We wanted the exact opposite of this. That went for about 63 pips. If we got it down there, that'd be some nice profit. As is, no good at all. About $85 down at the moment on that one. And our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade. Also not going very well. We had a run of 4 pretty green candles, and now we've seen a really big one. This candle almost instantly rules out the idea of profit. That 5 moving average is going to chase it quick, and we are going to want to see it come down pretty sharp so we don't lose too much money here. Not a nice position to be in after just 1 day in the trade. RSI now up at 98.94. See if there's any other trades out there. Euro Swiss franc edging closer. If we see a green day, it'll be overbought territory under the 200 average. Not in either the Euro Swiss franc at the moment as well, so we'd be comfortable getting into that one. It's happening again for the yen. Weaker it gets. On the euro yen here, we see that RSI up at 99.84. Almost touching a perfect 100. Can't get into this one, but we'll keep an eye on it as it goes. It's the euro US dollar pair. RSI at 96.65. That is overbought. And there is a good distance between price and the moving average. This isn't a fast mover either, and the candle looks good too. It's a potentially nice trade here to sell off the euro. We'll miss out on it though, and just hope that our Australian dollar US dollar trade comes back to the good instead. Can't get into this one, but the Aussie dollar Swiss franc, that is giving us a sell signal. RSI has just got across 95.78. Price not gone across that moving average, so you would be able to sell off this market. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, same story. Overbought territory, but you can barely even see the moving average. That is it there. Price is very far below it. Lots of sell signals coming on the Australian dollar if you are keen to get in on the trades. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, RSI at 99.91. Tip a little more. Let's have another green day. See if we can get to 100 for the first time. No new signals for us. We do have our 2 trades going, so we're just going to think happy thoughts and hope that Oceania, the Australasia area of the world, just has a bit of a bad time for the next few days. Sell off that New Zealand dollar. Sell off the Australian dollar. Let's build up some profits. Day 18, RSI-2. It's $300 down in our active trades. Oof. Australian dollar, US dollar. Let's pull up the trade history for it so we can see where we got in. There it was. 2 days ago we were in that low right there. That seems like it was going to be the time. We really could have done with that, because it is another green day for the Australian dollar. RSI up at 97.85. Back in the overbought territory for the second time in quick succession. If you didn't get in on that first signal, you could get in on this one. Tempted? Not going so well for us, but we hope for the return. It's around about $150 down for us on that one, which doesn't quite as bad as our New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar trade. We've only been in it 2 days and both of them pretty heavy green candles. $165 down. I don't see a lot of coming back from this one, but we will wait. We trust in that mean reversion. It's got to come sooner or later. We'll see. Let's see if there's any other trades out there. Euro US dollar. If you'd got into a sell trade there, loaded up on your risk, sold it off, that'll be moving against you now as well. RSI up at 98.33 pushes deeper into that overbought territory. Not the trade for us. Pound US dollar giving the signal now as well. We've seen that before a few candles ago. It would have been a sell trade there if we weren't already in a trade of the US dollar, and that wouldn't be going so well either. About 80 pips against us. Back in the overbought territory though. Second time might be the charm if you want to get in on that one. And look at the run on the New Zealand dollar US dollar. That's why you would have been in right there with the overbought signal. Makes us feel good that we got in the Australian dollar trade instead. Just after a few days, it would be 2.5% against us, around about 170, 180 pips. That ain't no good trade to be in. US dollar Swiss franc giving the signal as well. Obviously can't get into it already being in that great US dollar trade. And this one would be going in favor of the US dollar as well, because it has gone into the oversold territory. RSI at 4.79. We'd be getting into a buy trade and hoping for a bounce. We'll try and keep an eye on it. Signal on the Aussie dollar CAD as well. If you want to get selling off the Australian dollar on 3, 4, 5 pairs, it's there for you. Money to be made. We are in overbought territory, once again asking for a sell-off. Got to resist the call. And the strength of the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. RSI now up at 99.95. We are so close to seeing it at 100. Bring a small green, why not? We want to see it. And same on the Euro New Zealand dollar. Sell off the Euros, buy the New Zealand dollars. We've got the RSI in super oversold territory, 0.33. We want to see it get down to 0.00. Let's get there. And the Great British Pound is even lower against the New Zealand dollar. RSI at 0.28. That has got to bottom out soon. We are really hoping that people lose faith in Australasia, because we are just seeing the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar strengthen and strengthen. Not what we want. We are selling them off. And we've got to wait for that price to recross the moving average. So we'll wait. Day 19, not a bad day for us. Let's start with the Australian dollar, US dollar trade. We can see it's come back quite a bit to our favor. Not in profit yet though. It's still around about $75 down, including the swap. And also price not getting quite below that 5-period moving average yet. So maybe there is still a chance to sneak some profits tomorrow, right before the weekend. Saw a candle here of about 52.5 pips. If we see another one of those tomorrow, oh yes, that would get us just about back into profit and we could close off the trade as the price moves below the average. No action for us at the moment though, it's not quite there yet. The New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar pair, not quite as heavy as our Australian dollar sell-off, but still at least we're seeing a red day. Even at $130 down, we are not giving up hope. What we could do for, I mean obviously one big massive red day that could get us there would be nice, but we need a little bit of luck, maybe get there in 2 days. So if we could drop down to about there, keep us just in line with the average, and then have one of these big sell-off days. There is still a chance for profit, but the train is about to leave the station. No action on this one either. See if we've got any new entries out there. Some of these currencies are now getting sold off to the favor of the Japanese yen. So if your strategy here is to say, well, if it gets above 95 into that overbought territory and stays there for 5 days, hey, maybe then it's time to sell off. And if that's you, it's proved pretty well here, especially if you've gone all in on a lot of different Japanese yen pairs. Confident stuff. The sell-off potential on the Euro US dollar that we had as well, yeah, I wouldn't be looking too bad. I think it went into the overbought territory there, so you wouldn't be in profit at the moment, about 14 pips down. You'd have another day though, it's not quite closing below the moving average. Very close, very close. Still be in it though. And this pound US dollar, if you got in on the second overbought signal, that would be about 40 pips towards you at the minute. There's a sell-off of the pound against the yen. If yesterday you jumped into a buy trade on the US dollar Swiss franc, not so good for you at the moment. We've seen another red day here. Plenty of time though. Another day of red on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc, and that'll be a buy signal. The RSI is at 5.18, starting to get deeply oversold. Price is above the average. Let's see if that signal comes. No trade entries for us, but we can at least finish the night with a bit of positivity. These trades, both of them, have moved back to our favor, and we can see where the gateway to profit is. It's just whether we have that bit of luck to get there as well. We'll find out this time tomorrow. Day 20 for the RSI-2. Not too much movement on either of these trades. Let's start with the Australian dollar, US dollar. I mean, really no movement at all from what we've seen yesterday, and it is not quite beneath that moving average. That is incredibly close to crossing beneath it. Has had a low that was beneath there, but at the moment not quite a close. Hopefully we don't live to regret that. We'll stay with that one. The RSI now floating around mid-value, 43.52. And on our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade, again, this one will stay open for the weekend. Not much movement, but we did see some. We saw quite a bit of a low on this one. That would have come close to us not actually taking too much of a loss. Still a loss, around about 30 pips thereabouts. So certainly not ideal. But this is about what we asked for. A bit of a red day that doesn't quite go over as a setup for a really big red day. Getting us beneath the entry price, snagging that little bit of profits, mayhaps. Yeah, pretty unlikely. See if we've got any other trades. Euro Great British Pound heading towards that overbought, even though it's been a downtrend. Price beneath the average. If you see a green day like that again, it'll go into overbought territory. And we might be in with a sell trade, especially since we actually don't have any trades open on the Euro or the Great British Pound at the moment. So we are free for either of those currencies. Signal on the US dollar, Swiss franc remains. You got it back here originally, but you've seen 2 more red days since then. If you got into a buy trade, not a good signal. Also on the US dollar Japanese yen pair, enough of a pullback that we're seeing the RSI down at 5.56. Get one more red day in there and we could see that cross into the oversold territory, giving us a signal, a buy signal. We've seen a couple nice moves there, so if we get out of this US dollar trade, get into this one, yeah, there's potential. A lot of ifs and buts there. If you'd been in this Australian dollar Swiss franc trade, either of these candles would have been good at sell trade points for you. Coming down there, about 50-60 pips in that range. Would have been nice, would have been nice. Signal does come on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc. We shan't be taking it, but it is a buy signal right there. No new trade entry signals for us tonight, but we do still have these 2 great trades here, setting us up perfectly for a couple big red candles. Sell off on the Aussie dollar, sell off on the New Zealand dollar. Buying up those North American currencies, the US, the Canadian. All we can do is hope, and then just come back in 72 hours time to see if our dreams have come true. Day 21, tragic. We've gone green once again on the Australian dollar, US dollar. $115 down now, and the return is still there. Let's just have a big one, bigger than we've seen. Potential is fading into the night. I think one way or the other, though, hopefully we close off the trade soon. Couldn't bear the thought of seeing a green candle like this one over on the far left, you know, where it shoots up and really puts us to the sword. We keep it open. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, even worse. That was quite a candle there. And this one we're about $165 down. Still no reversion to the mean. Maybe there's a better signal out there for us. It's got to be something better. Muppet Treasure Island, sweet. Getting close on the euro yen, almost into the oversold territory. Let's have a big red day and get that. In case you were in on the euro US dollar, this is a pretty definitive trade. That's the open there. This is an actual close beneath the 5-period moving average. And if you were in there, you'd be flat. You'd be basically flat. So whichever way the swaps were going, that's probably where you'd end up. Touch of profit or a touch of loss. Not the best trade, but not the worst either. That we know. US dollar, Japanese yen having a rebound day didn't quite get us in. The RSI was down at 5.56 on Friday. Now it's coming back up. Yeah, let's see a green day come on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Why not give us a sell trade? Get us back in here just like we were before. Had some good fun on this chart. Didn't make any money, but you know, a bit of fun. No entries for us. If these trades keep going against us like this, we may pretty soon be looking at a new career of some kind. Maybe a professional pirate. We'll be back on the high charts tomorrow. So I suppose we'll just come back tomorrow. Day 22, another day of not much good with our trades. The Australian dollar, US dollar chart, price above the moving average still, the 5-period. Not going to get to close it yet. Has been a green day, not a major one, but still we need it to come red. Meanwhile, New Zealand dollar CAD saw a touch of red come. If it had finished at the low, it would have been a close. Nothing for us to do. Let's see if there's other trades out there. Euro yen didn't quite make it under 5. If it had gone into that oversold territory before it pulled this day out of the bag, be looking quite promising. Same story with the pound yen, seeing the bounce back. In fact, just about above the 5-period average. So that would have been a nice trade if we did get an oversold signal there, making about 115 pips thereabouts. And same with the US dollar Japanese yen as well. Finished 5.56, but that would have netted you some profit. You'd have been in there about 58 pips worth. Better than a kick in the nose. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar nearing a sell signal again. We've seen that before. It went into the overbought territory there. That would be going no good for you. In fact, you'd still be in that one by the look of it, because this is a gap down that you wouldn't have seen at the time. So you'd still be in that one, which means it's getting close to a second overbought signal. Second time lucky. 0 extra trade signals for us tonight. So once again, we will stick with these trades and hope that there's a turnaround coming any second now. Or now. No, we'll probably have to wait it out. So we'll come back tomorrow and check. Day 23, you know the story. Can't close either trades. Almost $300 down total. Let's see if we've got anything better out there. Nope, no trades. Let's go fishing again tomorrow for some. Day 24, nothing new at all in terms of the overall vibe of what's going on, which is that these trades just keep moving further from the mean reversion. $352 down between them. Oh yeah, it's going swimmingly. Let's have a quick check for other entries. Euro US dollar could be looking like another one coming. RSI above 90. If it pushes with a green candle, sell signal would be available if we get out of this US dollar trade. That seems the most unlikely of all getting out of that trade. US dollar Swiss franc won't give the signal. Price has dropped enough that it's below the moving average, so even if it goes into oversold territory, it's too far gone to get in. CAD Swiss could get there though with a red day. One more like this one. Won't push it beneath the average, but should get it into oversold. Buy entry potential there. Sell signal coming through on the Australian dollar CAD. This did come through previously about here. And to be fair, if you're in on that one, I don't think you would have closed out by now. Another day of no new entry signals and another day of keeping these trades open. We'll be back tomorrow, right before the weekend. Day 25, the strategy that is yet to get a winning trade 5 weeks in. Well, that's not about to change, but we do have a bit of good news that we can close down our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade. Price finally getting across the 5-period moving average. Did give it quite a good bit of time to get there. But we've known this trade well. We've been in it for 11 days, and we are going to make $2.60 on the swap as we close the trade off for a total of $153.67 down. Could be better. Could be better. And the Australian dollar, US dollar pair, it's not quite ready yet. Gonna need another red day. Once again, we did have the low get beneath the average, but not the close. Let's see if we've got any other entries out there. We've now freed up space on the New Zealand dollar and the Canadian dollar. Could get back in on one of those currencies. Let's find out. Euro Swiss franc going oversold. 1.96 on the RSI, but that is a big downtrend that's been going. Was there anywhere nice you could have got in? Well, back here, if you'd been in there, that would have been a winning trade. Look at that, 40 pips or so. Those are the kind of trades you want. That was a long time ago though. No signal since then. Pound Swiss franc doing the same as the Euro Swissy. Can't get it because price is below the moving average. But if you aren't using the 200 moving average as a filter, get in on a buy trade, why not? Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, nearing the overbought signal. Get us in again. Very good times. If you got in the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar trade yesterday, you'd be breaking about even right now. Nothing really to say about it. And yet I found words. Did we have any trade entries? No, we didn't. So we'll continue to rely on the Australian dollar, US dollar pair. Need some major news coming out of one of these countries to give us the boost we need. I don't think it's going to happen, but if you believe, then I appreciate that. And we will be back next week just for you and for us to see if we can finally get a winning trade from Larry Connor's RSI-2 strategy. We'll be back. Day 26, 1st of November. And we are finally able to close down this Australian dollar, US dollar trade. It's another loss that's going to be in the realm of $150. That's 3 trades and 3 losses for the strategy as a whole. And all losing around about that amount. So we're going to be near $450, $500 down, something in that range. And yet to get a winning trade, let's shut this one down. We can see that price is below the 5-period moving average. And now we've got no other active trades. Let's see if we can find one. No new entry signals for us tonight. But at least we don't have to worry about this trade going any further against us. Let's come back tomorrow and see if there aren't any entries for us then. Day 27. Something frustrating. Frustrating enough that I do need to talk about it. Last weekend, daylight savings time in the UK, clocks go back an hour. Next weekend, daylight saving time in America, clocks go back an hour. This broker that we're using hadn't gone back an hour yet. And so when we were looking at this trade yesterday, the Australian dollar US dollar trade, and we closed it out, what we were looking at was the start of the day. It was probably around about 11:15 on the clock, but that was actually at 12:15. So this candle right here was the end of yesterday, and this candle right here is the close of today. Had we not made that error and known the difference in the daylight savings times, well, this would have been our day today, and we would have been closing off the trade basically back at our entry position. It still would have been a loss, and we lost on the swap as well, but that would have been 12 pips as opposed to just over 100. Yeah, not ideal, but I guess we can only blame ourselves and the differences in daylight savings time and the brokers. And anywhere else I can pass the buck, to be honest. I don't want it stopping with me, and yet I fear it will. I've now actually adjusted this clock. So we are actually right at the end of the day. Let's just go onto the 1 minute chart. If I zoom over there, you can see 11:25, or the latest one, 11:32 up here. Not a lot on the 1 minute chart going on. No active trades at the moment. I wonder if we'll get an entry. Euro pound getting close. It keeps teasing it. We've seen a few times the relative strength index gets to about 85 and then backs off. But now it does seem like it could be a breakout. Hopefully that's a retracement breakout. One more green day, push us above 95, give us that sell signal. Ooh, so close on the pound yen. RSI 5.89 right now. And that would be a buy signal if it dropped below 5. If it was nearer to the low of the day, that would be an entry signal. Watch out for that one over the next few days. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, even closer. RSI at 5.08. Ooh, that would be a buy signal. Almost. Nearly getting a buy signal on the Euro Australian dollar. What a day for the Euro, really strong there, against what the trend has been. If we get another one of those that doesn't quite tip it above the moving average, potential for a nice sell. Euro New Zealand dollar, that's close to a sell signal as well. These charts are really teeing up some sell signals on the Euro. Here we go, the last currency pair we were checking, the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. It's coming through with a buy signal. Just about. Let's zoom in and see how close price is to the moving average. Another 5 pips and that signal would be straight gone. But for here and now, we can still take it. RSI at 1.55. Can't get much lower than that, surely. Let's grab up that average true range. Measure out some risk. 64.9 pips. We'll have 1% risk, $86.43 per 1 times that ATR value. So you can see how our risk is calculated. And this one's a buy. All in favor of the New Zealand dollar. Here we go. No stop loss or take profit, as we know. Just purely hoping for the rebound. Get above the 5-period moving average and our entry price simultaneously. Shouldn't be too much to ask, but it has certainly felt it so far. Let's come back tomorrow, see if we've got any of those Euro trades available for us, and see if we can't take some profits with this one. Day 28, 15 minutes until the end of the day, and our trade is looking pretty good. It's gone in our favor, that's for sure. We entered a buy and we see green at 35.55 up right now. I think that could be the most that we've ever seen one of our trades in profit. Very good. I'm coming on right towards the end of the hour because there was a chance that this looked like it might have been able to finish above the moving average, but from where we're at now, it does seem like we are going to keep it open. We can just have a look at the other price charts though, see if we get any entries. And that should give us a few more minutes to see if price wants to make one final leap above the 5-period average here. Doesn't seem likely to us though. Let's check the charts. That Great British Pound Japanese Yen trade, the RSI closed at 5.94 yesterday. If it had been a bit lower down, we could have got into a buy trade. And now we can see price has snuck across the average. It's a good trade for the system if you got in on that one. If you were entering when the RSI was under 6 rather than under 5, quite nice for you. If you'd gone in on the Australian dollar Swiss franc as a buy trade yesterday, you'd be a touch down, but still plenty of time to go in the trade. Still hoping this Euro Australian dollar can climb. It's been pretty level today. We want one more green day that's pushing upward. Give us that sell signal. Okay, so no new entry signals for us. And with 6.5 minutes to go, doesn't look like price is going to make the jump above the average now. So we will just come back in 24 hours time And hopefully another day like this, get us way above it. Don't just limp over it. Don't just stumble across it. Make a power move. You know, a candle like this right here. What's that? 83 pips. We get another 83 pips on top of that. That would be really nice. Right up to the resistance level, mayhaps. We'll be back then. Day 29. And this New Zealand Swiss franc pair is now getting away from us. We've seen a red day, a big red day. We were so close to be able to getting a close above the moving average and take some profit. But now we are $32.88 down, and the 5-period average is approaching our entry price. We need some green days. Don't want to start getting deja vu and end up with a $150 loss again. But some sort of gain is needed to give any sort of credibility to this strategy on Forex. Let's see if there's any other entries that can help out. Euro pound getting close. It's been a few times there where you see a green candle and it pushes like it wants to get into that overbought territory, but does seem to stop just shy of there. Currently 87.83. Dollar yen could get a buy signal with another day's sell-off. Again, we've seen it get temptingly close before in recent days. Might not get a true signal out of it yet. We've been watching this Australian dollar Swiss franc trade because you could have got into a sell trade right there. That is if you had no regard to the filtering, and it would be going bad for you now, about 40 pips down. We've seen worse, but it ain't great. And Euro Aussie, been watching this one as well. Candle has come green, but not as much as it needs to get up there and get above 95. No setups on the charts for us tonight. And once again, we're left just hoping that this trade will turn, get above that average. Show us why we got into the trade, why we're using the system. Let's check in tomorrow. Day 30. Reasonably decent day for our New Zealand dollar trade. It does go to our favour. Not enough to get across the entry price, and certainly not enough to get across the 5-period moving average, though. Still a few pips before that's possible. Around about $14 down. Let's see if we've got any new trades going into the weekend. Euro Great British Pound still hasn't given us the go-ahead yet. The day did go green. It's getting close to that 200-period average now. RSI right up there in the 90s, but not above 95, and that's what we need for the signal. So we'll keep watching it, but we'll stay clear for now. Another sell-off day on the Euro Japanese Yen does get us closer to a buy signal as it pushes down the RSI. As soon as we see it get into that oversold territory, we'll be looking for the trade. Same for the Australian dollar Japanese yen as well. A lot of these currencies against the yen are lining up for potential buy trades, and we're more than happy to take one of them if we see it come. Like it might do on this Canadian dollar Japanese yen. RSI even lower on this one, in the 7s now. Potential's there. Meanwhile, the Euro Australian dollar edging closer still. Little steps towards a sell signal. Just need one more push to get us there. No new entry signals for us again tonight, which means we do remain reliant on the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc trade to get us there. And that means for profits, we need a decent sized green candle. Let's come back in 72 hours time and see how it's getting on. Day 31, a new week, and you are about to witness something special. We are closing off the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc trade, and we are doing it in profit. You can see it was a big green candle today. We needed it. We really did. Last time we checked, I think we were around about $30 down. Now $55.18 up. What a day. What a trade. Let's just come down a little bit. We will close it off now, and we can take that money to the bank. That's how it's meant to work. 4 days we're in the trade until we get the boost, and we can't ask for much more than that. So now that at last we've got our winning trade, it does mean we have no other trades open at the moment, but we've got a taste for it now. Only after 6 weeks. The Euro Great British Pound backs off the signal again. So RSI does keep making higher highs. Maybe we see the bounce tomorrow. Just don't want it to go above the moving average, otherwise we lose the signal. So close. And we certainly do get a signal. It is a buy signal on the US dollar Japanese yen pair. That RSI, it has come down to 3.52, and you can see how far price is above the moving average, about 350 pips. So that's at least one signal we got. Just make sure we haven't got any others that clash with it. The Canadian dollar yen getting close to the same signal. Not quite though. RSI is just above 6. The euro Canadian dollar very close to a signal. Price below the moving average. RSI up at 94.13. Any sort of green day tomorrow and we should get that sell signal. No competing signals, and so it'll be a buy on the US dollar Japanese yen. Let's grab that ATR. 65.4 pips is the figure. 1% risk per that distance from our entry price, which does mean the volume will be 0.15 lots, and we can buy. right into another one. Hopefully it can do just as well as our New Zealand dollar Swiss franc trade did, and maybe we can start clawing back those losses, $50 at a time. We'll be back tomorrow to find out how we're getting on. Day 32. No luck so far with our US dollar Japanese yen. We're in a buy trade, but the candle is red, so we're down about $50, and the RSI gets all the way to 1.41. Surely there's got to be a return for us soon. 5-period average still above the entry price, plenty of time for us to still get profit, but nothing for us to do now. Let's have a look at the other charts, see if we got any trades. Might get the Euro Great British Pound taking another run at 95 soon. Euro Japanese Yen almost coming with the signal, RSI down at 10.04, and we might see a few like this. Yeah, Swiss franc Japanese Yen almost doing it as well, RSI 10.72 if you see a red day there. But we are back in the US dollar to get us there against the yen for now. Australian dollar yen RSI at 8.08. Same situation, although price is close to the moving average here. Would be in danger of getting that signal filtered out. Canadian dollar yen RSI at 2.69. The Euro Australian dollar so close to a sell signal at 91.45 on the RSI. But you do fear that if it does get into the overbought territory above 95, it'll also go above the moving average, price will, and so it'll be a no entry signal. Signal is coming in on the Euro Canadian dollar though, RSI 96.06. It's been creeping up over the last couple of weeks, and now with price comfortably below the moving average, we do get a signal, and this is our inspiration. No other trades that want to step in, so we are free to take this sell trade on the Euro Canadian. The ATR is reading 82 pips exactly. That's what we'll measure our risk to. And you can see how it's calculated on screen. 0.13 standard lots is the measure, and it's a sell trade. So now we got 2 horses in the race, 2 trades, 4 currencies, double the trades, double the luck. Let's come back tomorrow at 24 hours time, see how these trades are coming along. Day 33, business picking up for us. We got 2 positive trades down here. Let's start with the US dollar Japanese yen. What a day for the US dollar. This is the exact kind of trade we want. Only had one brief day go against us before it has shot up today. So now it is comfortably above the 5-period moving average. We can shut it down. $88.60 from the trade, less 66 cents from the swap, and $2.26 commission. That's the profit of $85.68. Really good trade for us. Euro Canadian dollar only got in this one last night, and we are going to be closing this one off as well. It's a sell trade, and price has rocketed down, and we're going to get decent profits from this one as well. There we go, 78.25 plus a 21-cent swap and less $1.96 for commission. Really nice. Between both trades, $162.18. It gets us a bit back in it. We were $424 down. Now you can make that $262. A long way to go still, but at least we're headed in the right direction now. And after closing those trades, all 8 currencies are open again. So let's have a look through the charts and see if we've got any new signals. The Euro Yen getting close now. Just needs a bit more of a push, but not enough to get below the moving average. No actual entries for us though. That's fine. We don't mind being patient as long as we're going to get those good trades. And what a week it's turning out for us. For the first 6 weeks, we had no trades at all that had taken profit. And now we've got 3 in this week. If we can get 3 every week from now, well, I expect to see a lot of profits. We'll be back tomorrow to see if we get some more. Day 34. No open trades for us, but maybe we do have an entry or 2 waiting for us. Let's go check out the charts. And the Euro Japanese Yen has come in with the signal. We've had a price come down enough that it puts the RSI beneath 5, 4.07 right now, but not enough that it's pushed it beneath the moving average. So we get a buy signal. Pound yen doesn't get that, RSI at 11.53. US dollar Canadian dollar gets into overbought territory, but price has been pushing so much the last few periods that it is now quite a bit above the moving average. US dollar Japanese yen still pushing a bit. Took profit on it yesterday. Now a little bit of another green candle. And the Euro Canadian dollar reversed today, so we got out in a really good position to take profits yesterday. Solid stuff. Price now back above the 5-period average. It's demonstrating the kind of trades we want, quick in and out. New Zealand dollar Japanese yen comes close to the same signal as well. RSI beneath 10 just about, but it's going to need a couple more red days to get to beneath 5. The New Zealand dollar Swiss franc as well got out of that one at the peak. You can see we caught a retracement there in a buy trade. That's where we closed out, and since then 3 red days. In terms of our actual entry signals tonight though, just the euro Japanese yen, so we can line up a buy trade here. Average true range 84.7 pips, and that does mean it's going to be at 0.12 standard lots with a risk of 1% per 1 times ATR value. Let's buy the asset and we'll hope for a quick return. A couple of these kind of green candles that just boost us up, get some profits. Had a bit more fortune this week, so hopefully that continues for the next day and before the weekend. See if we can jam out one more trade to the good. We'll come back tomorrow. Day 35, it's the end of the week, and we couldn't get a winner just yet out of this euro-yen pair. Price has come below the 200 moving average. We're not going to close it. We are going to wait for the mean reversion and get it back beyond the 5-period moving average, whenever that may be. RSI now down at 1.66. Nothing for us to do. Let's see if we've got any trades. Swiss franc, Japanese yen, still almost coming with that signal. RSI down at about 11.12. Strong red day against the franc will give a buy signal, but probably it would also likely push our euro yen further away from closing. So while we're in the euro yen trade, we're unlikely to be able to get one in the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. The euro and franc do move pretty closely together. Almost a sell signal on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Didn't have much luck last time we were in. Ended up having to close it up there. But maybe if we get one more green day just like this, could line up nice for us. After we got out, the market did sell off a bit more last time. Could be due another run. That is it though. Not really much occurring on the charts for us tonight. And certainly no entry signals. 72 hours time before we'll be back. Day 36, back for another week. And the euro Japanese yen pair, it is getting away from us a bit. We were looking for the exact opposite of this. But this is what we got. $95 down now. And profit starts to seem unlikely once the 5-period moving average gets past your entry price. Hey ho, maybe there's some other trades out there waiting for us. Australian dollar, US dollar, a couple of days ago the RSI was down at 3.98. You couldn't get into that because you were filtered out by the 200 average. But if you had no regard for filtering, it looks like it would be a win. You'd be closing that down for about a 60 pip gain. Pretty nice. Euro Great British Pound goes into oversold territory. But again, it's that 200 period moving average keeping you out. We'll see how this one gets on. Same story on the euro US dollar. RSI down at 1.45. Not a good day for the euro. Struggling. Great British Pound, Swiss franc. If that sees another green day as it has the last couple, that'll lead the RSI into a true signal. Push a little more. Swiss franc, Japanese yen coming with the signal now. Very similar to what we got on the euro yen, apart from the euro is a lot close to the 200 moving average. We can't get into it, but potentially a nice signal. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, that's almost coming with the sell signal. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, wow, that is close to a sell trade. RSI at 94.48. That signal might still come yet. 38 minutes until the close. No signals for us to take as we look at it now, but we are going to come back right before the end of the day and just see if this Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar signal comes. Price below the average. RSI now 94.6. It's so close. Could well push right at the end. 94.72 again. With just 1 minute to go until the end of the day, the close of the candle, the RSI still isn't above 95, currently at 94.48. If a green candle comes tomorrow though, that would be enough to get the RSI above 95. Give us a good signal. We don't mind waiting with this one. Last time we were in a trade on this chart, could have done with getting in at a higher price, so we don't mind hanging on for it. Makes sense to me, so we will come back in 24 hours time, see how our euro yen trade's getting on, and see if we've got an entry on this chart right here. Day 37, a little bit better, but not enough. If anything, it just looks like a setup candle for a further drop. But prove us wrong, euro yen, prove us wrong. It doesn't look good at $77 down. Maybe we've got some trades on the other charts. Let's find out. Euro Great British Pound goes fairly oversold. RSI down at 2.08. The last 3 days, look at that. What a drop. Fall from grace from the gains that the euro made before. Can't take this signal because it's filtered out by the moving average. But it'd be interesting to see if price does break through the support level or not. Same story on the euro US dollar. Big day's drop. RSI as low as 0.73. Can we get it much lower? No signal for us. Again, we're filtered out, of course. Great British Pound, Swiss franc giving us the signal though. RSI 96.13. Price below the moving average. Gives us a chance to sell. Aussie dollar NZD comes through with a sell signal as well. RSI at 96.6. Doesn't have to compete with the pound Swiss franc and doesn't clash with the euro yen. We have got a signal with the pound New Zealand dollar pair as well. That's a sell-off, which does match up with the fact that we want to sell off the pound against the Swiss franc, buy the New Zealand dollar against the Australian dollar, and we'd rather be in 2 trades than 1, so we are going to set aside the pound New Zealand dollar pair. And going with these other two trades, let's get the ATR up for the Great British Pound Swiss franc. The reading on that is 94.4 pips. Let's measure out 1% of our risk to that figure, and you can see that calculated on screen now. So it'll be one sell trade at 0.09 standard loss. Same for the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pair. Much lower ATR in this one, 54.1 pips. And it's another sell trade for us here. So we are able to leave ourselves in 3 trades overnight. If there was ever a time to get back our losses, now will be it. If we could come back in 24 hours time and find all of these to be in profit, we'll be back then. Day 38. Good news and bad news on our 3 trades. We'll start with our old Euro Japanese yen trade. This one is the baddest. This one is the worst. Deep day of selling off. And now we're about $155 down total on it. Pretty concerning, and the 5-period average far from our entry price now. Need that green day to come tomorrow. Pound Swiss franc, this one's not great. Another strong day for the pound, but has receded from the highs, and the 5-period moving average is still well below our entry price. RSI now up at 97.35, and the trade is about $34 down total. We'll let it be. And the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. This is our good news. This is one that we're going to be closing down. Day 1, the prices immediately come down for us. It's the exact type of trade we want, and even just got a little bit extra there. We will shut it down. So a bit much on the commission, $3.46 and 44 cents lost on the swap as well. But total 87.34. It's a good amount to get, and fairly similar to a lot of the other ones that we've had. So we are done with that one. 2 trades still open, but let's see if we've got any other entry signals. Euro Great British Pound gets even more oversold. RSI yesterday was 4.58, and now it's down at 1.09. Got to be a reversal sooner or later. Really makes you want to get into it. But we are still filtered out. Same with the Euro US dollar. RSI down at 0.75. People fed up with the Euro. They want it gone. Pound New Zealand dollar come with a genuine signal. Can't take it because we're already selling off the pound in favour of the Swiss franc. But it's there for the taking if that's what you're after. No new trades, so we'll just stick with these 2. And we'll come back tomorrow to see if they're getting any better. Day 39. And we are going to be able to get out of this Euro Japanese yen trade. Price creeping above the 5-period moving average. And I think we're getting off quite lightly at this stage. When price was down here, it looked really grim. And it's still not the best, but it could have been a lot worse. So there it goes, $80, 28 cents loss when you include the commission and the swap. Not our finest moment, but actually our least damaging loss. As for our pound Swiss franc trade, it is right on our entry price. You can't even see the line, because the bid price line is right on top of it. We're $6 down, and so hopefully now this is the return. Another steep red day tomorrow before the weekend. Get it closed off some good profits, maybe $60, $70. We can only hope. Let's check those other charts. Pound US dollar creeping closer. Now RSI up at 92.05. Don't really want it to push up more, to be fair, because it's not a signal we can take, and it would mean that the pound is actually getting stronger. We want the pound to weaken, so bring it down. If you're in on this trade here, Swiss franc Japanese yen pair, you'd be getting out now. You wouldn't really be making any money. Be very tight. Your Australian dollar, though, we could see a strong green day tomorrow. Maybe give us a sell-off up here. Wouldn't mind that for a signal. Not too much action, though. We got to stick it out with the pound Swiss franc and hope that that trade gets us our profits. We'll be back tomorrow. Day 40, end of the week, and our pound Swiss franc trade can't quite close it yet. It has been a red day. We're about $1 up overall, but price mostly above the moving average. It's slightly on top of it, on top of the top of it. We're only going to close if it's below the 5-period moving average. That low of the day does look like it would have been quite nice to close it there, but that's fine. We can believe that this is just a pure setup for us to see red and see a lot of it. Maybe get 80 or 90 pips going. Yes, please. No action for the trade. Let's check those charts. On the Euro Japanese yen, I said yesterday that we were lucky to get out of it when we did, and here's the proof. What a drop today. It's gone for almost 200 pips to the low. Has receded a bit, but still, you'd be a long way from a close now. Good for us. Pound yen moving in on the signal. Could see a red day come on Monday, and if price can push down but not get below the moving average, could find our way into a buy signal. Pound CAD still threatening that signal. Alright, no extras for us. Let's see this pound Swiss franc trade get going. Get going in the good way. We'll be back next week. Day 41, and it's pretty poor for our pound Swiss franc because we are going to have to close it down. Price is below the 5-period moving average, but it's only just below it, and we're going to be closing it down for what looks like it'll be about a $10 loss. Let's hit that X and be done with it. Pretty sad we couldn't get a decent day out of it, but it wasn't too devastating in the end. In fact, $1.36 commission charge means that the total loss was $12.21. By far our smallest loss, but I thought this one had a winner in. Never mind, let's see if there's any other trades out there. US dollar, Canadian dollar getting into that overbought territory, but price has pushed up above the 200 average over the last couple of weeks. Aussie dollar, Kiwi, why not get us in again? Round 3. If we can push green over the next couple of days, hopefully get that RSI up into overbought. It was a strong green day today. Great British pound, New Zealand dollar might get there as well. If we see green come for the pound, if it has a strong day, could put us in, could put us in. Pound caddy still close as well, only needs one strong green one. Another day like this, that'll see us in. So no new trades for us, and we do want to get a couple before the end of the week. This is the last week for entry signals. After that, any we've got left open, we'll just see them through to their logical conclusion. So hopefully there are some out there. Look like a couple potential ones on the pound coming through, and we're out of this pound Swissy pair now, so maybe we can get back in. We'll find out this time tomorrow. Day 42, no open trades. Let's see if we got any newies. Euro pound could threaten it with a couple more green days. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, it's got to push more. Tiny green candle today, bit of a wild day actually. Over 100 pips from high to low. Whew. All quiet on the Western charts tonight and not a lot of action at all. Let's come back tomorrow and see if we've got anything then. Day 43, got an oversold signal on the Australian dollar, US dollar pair. Can't take it though, need it going the other way. Need it to be overbought. Let's check those other charts, see what we got. Same for the pound US dollar as well, oversold, not a trade for us under the moving average. And the New Zealand dollar, US dollar as well, really strong for the dollar at the moment. Australian, New Zealand dollar, that is so close, RSI at 94.35. Any type of green day tomorrow is going to give the signal. Euro, New Zealand dollar, that comes through with a signal though. We are in the overbought territory, RSI at 96.2 and price comfortably below the moving average. Let's get into a sell trade for it. After we check those other charts, that is. Great British pound, New Zealand dollar, that's come close, RSI at 93.37, not there though. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, that does go into oversold territory, but price is below the moving average, so we've got no competition. We can get into this Euro New Zealand dollar trade. Let's get up the ATR. That's 126.5 pips we're getting as the reading, or 1% risk to that distance is 0.10 standard lots. And so here we go with our sell trade. Alrighty, let's see if this can smash us all the way into profit. Only need $270 to get there. Doesn't seem probable, but let's come back tomorrow and see how it's getting on. Day 44. Had a green day on the Euro New Zealand dollar pair, not what we wanted to see. Trade's about $40 down. 5-period moving average. It's still a ways below our entry price though. And we see prices pulled back as well to about halfway from the high. Hopefully that's it, coming back down from this resistance level. And let's have a big red day tomorrow. Let's check for trades. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, that's giving the signal. Can't get into it because we're already in the Euro New Zealand dollar. But the Aussie NZD has pushed there too. Real life sell signal. Same for the pound New Zealand dollar as well. Signal coming through, RSI at 95.57, price below the moving average. It's encouraging to see so many signals getting into that territory against the New Zealand dollar. Should make it more likely for that snap back in price. But that's it, no actual entry signals for us. And tomorrow is the last day that we'll be taking entry signals. So hopefully we do get at least one. It'll be great to go out with some fireworks and get us into profit mayhaps. Let's come back tomorrow, see how this trade's going on. And one more time, we'll check those charts. Day 45, our last day of taking entries. And we got some of those fireworks we wanted. Hasn't gone our way though. Look at this day for the Euro New Zealand dollar. This is across a lot of Forex pairs. Extremely high volatility. Fears over a new COVID variant. And so we have seen it rocket today. We are 56 cents down on the swap. $231.61 down on the trade. Not looking good. That's a 300 pip day from open to close there. And the ATR is 139 pips. What a move. Big times. One more time, and let's check those charts, see if we got any entries. Oversold on the Australian dollar, US dollar. The Euro's climbed against the pound as well, in an overbought state. Obviously we can't take any of these Euro trades, but it has had a heck of a day. Great British pound, Swiss franc is oversold. Can't take the signal though, price well below the moving average. Dollar, Japanese yen, very close. This was the last chance for it. RSI suddenly down at 6.7. What a day for it. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. That's oversold as well, but again, a price below the average. We're seeing plenty of this, a lot of overbought or oversold signals, but they're on the wrong side of the moving average. They're going with the existing trend. Same here on the Aussie dollar yen. Pretty timid day on the Australian dollar New Zealand dollar pair though. Canadian dollar Japanese yen so close, RSI at 5.72. Any more of a push down on price though and it'll go below the average. Pound New Zealand dollar. You know, that originally gave its signal back here. RSI 96.95. And there hasn't actually been a day since then. I mean, that was very close to closing below the moving average, but it's not there. I wouldn't have closed it off that. Let's zoom in. You can't see any red on the other side of the average. So if you'd entered there, you'd still be in this one, almost 2% down. Amazingly, no new entry signals. Would have liked to got at least one. And as we saw, no shortage of overbought or oversold signals, but the size of the moves have meant the price is often being filtered out, or the fact it might just be going with the trend anyway. All the signals are not quite there, so no new entry signals for the strategy. Would have been really nice for this Euro New Zealand dollar to do the exact opposite. And then we would have been about $230 in profit, and that would have pushed the strategy very close to profitability. As it is, that seems very unlikely now. We are going to see this trade through in its normal fashion though, so we will be back to check on the trade in 72 hours time. It's been 23 years, 4 months and 8 days. No, I'm kidding. It's day 49, 4 days on, and we are going to close down this Euro New Zealand dollar trade. Quite a loss in the end, almost $200, so our biggest loss. Let's shut it down now and be done with it. $197.53 loss from it. We got crushed by this day of panic right here, 240 pips. That put into us, the trade as a whole went 1.75% negative, so it all finishes $464.97 down, started at just over $9,119. Pretty weak, pretty poor, and we were always on the back foot after these 3 starting trades, 150 apiece. Made some of those back in the middle, gave us hope. Not terrible wins there, but then right at the end it comes back against us, in particular this Euro New Zealand dollar trade, and no good at all. Of the 10 trades, only 4 winners against 6 losers. Just going to take a look at our losing trades and see if there's anything we could have done to help us out, try and avoid them. And we took 2 trades on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. We're just looking at this one, the losing trade. One thing you can do is try and add risk to your trade if it continues to go further against you. So you might not want to do this every period it stays in the overbought territory. But if you want to do it every second period, you can see how that turned out. So on this Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar trade, for example, we got in here when it went into the overbought territory. We sold it off. One more day in the overbought territory the next day. You could say that's not enough. You want to wait for it to re-enter over here. And you could either put the same amount of risk on or you could double down on the risk. In this instance, it would be a loss there of about 20 pips. But then it re-enters again right up at the top here. And on one of these candles, potential to make about 60 pips of that back. Again, if you were doubling the risk each time, so you said that this is 1 times risk, up here is 2 times risk, and up here is 4 times risk, that would have made this trade profitable in the end, using that martingale style approach of doubling down. Looks like that style might have helped on the Australian dollar, US dollar as well. We entered it here, so if you didn't immediately carry on there, but when it re-entered the territory up here, I mean, it's flat as it is. This was the trade where we exited right at the start of the day. The exit technically should have been here. It was an error, but if we pretend to be an idealist for a second and say that we didn't have that error with the daylight savings time, then that would have been 80 pips there. That's what it's like on a pure back test. You can only rely on yourself to make the correct entry, and then you've also got a re-entry here as well for a 3rd time, and that's over 100 pips. So again, if you were doubling your risk each of those times, this one would be close, only about 10 pips or so. The 1 times risk, but the 2 times up here and the 3 up here, really impressive. Euro Japanese yen, you could have doubled down here, and since we exited there, it would have got you a bit back on that trade. I think it still overall would have been a loser because you're only getting about 20 pips back compared to the 60, 70 that were lost. But it still does make it a touch better. Pound Swissy, there wasn't really a chance to double down on this one, so this trade is as it was. About a $10 loss total. And the Euro New Zealand dollar trade that we just closed down, you could have doubled down up here on the 2nd period, and that would have been a small loss still. So we closed it off there, so you'd be looking at probably 10 or 15 pip loss. Almost forgot our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade as well. This was a baddie. And again, you could have doubled down up here actually. This would have been 2 more periods in the overbought territory. And a small loss for you on that one. So of our 6 losers, we would have had 2 trades there where you would have lost a bit more. Not a huge amount, but a bit more. one trade where it wouldn't have made a difference, the pound Swissy, one pair that it would have had a small positive impact on, the euro yen, and two currency pairs where it would have had a really nice impact on. So for these particular trades, I think that would have got you into profit, but that's not to say it's going to work all the time. Trends can keep on going and going. You get stuck in an awkward move and you keep doubling down and doubling down. You might even run out of margin, but it's some food for thought on how you might try and improve the strategy, as it did fail. That is the strategy though, done and complete, results nailed in, cemented into the ground. You'll need to change something on it to make it work, as is not always getting there. I did have a look at some stocks as well to see if that was feasible. That looked worse. I went in on, I think it was Disney, where it was oversold and oversold and oversold. And the actual stock value can go like 10-15% before it changes. On Forex, it's probably not going to go that far. Maybe for Turkey, but for the major and minor currency pairs, they're relatively stable. We'll have a look at those trades of ours though now from this strategy in the journal. Larry Connor's RSI-2 strategy, the final journal. Not looking all that healthy. Plenty of red to be seen. As we know, 10 trades, 49 days, $464.97 lost. So that is averaging almost a $10 loss every trading day. That can add up across years and decades. It started really bad for us. Those three trades put the boots in, and we know possibly the Australian dollar, US dollar could have turned out better, but it didn't, and you've got to live with the errors. So these trades didn't do us any favors. Then we got a glimpse of what we were after. These quick return trades. We were only in this US dollar yen for 2 days, Euro caddy for 1 day, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar down here 1 day, $90 from that one. And if you're up against these kind of losses, the $76, the $8, then that's kind of fine, but you're not always up against those. You've got these 150 ones up here, and we didn't actually get a winning trade above $100. Close a couple times, but not there. They gave us hope, these wins though, they did, allowing us to see what the strategy was about, how we could make money from it. But then right at the end, we get smashed in the face, Euro New Zealand dollar. Biggest loss of the strategy, negative $194.63. Most of that loss was in 1 day over the Omicron panic, but 1 day is 1 day. That's what happens when you have no stop loss. And so we do finish on $8,654.25 from our starting balance of $9,119.22. That is the journal. Learn from it, build from it. Let's give our final thoughts on the strategy as a whole. Final thoughts, you are going to need patience with this one. We saw for ourselves getting near enough 10 trades in 10 weeks. So you're checking those charts every day on the daily time frame, and you're only going to be getting 1 trade on average each week. A second reason of why you're going to need patience is that when those trades do eventually come along, you might find you start the strategy by getting 3 trades that all go against you, all losers. And a third factor is that you'll need the patience to alter and amend the strategy so that it can actually be profitable. Because based on our results, the strategy as is was not profitable. In terms of the RSI, you can only extend the overbought oversold levels so much. Larry liked them at 90.10. We pushed that to 95.5. If you want to go up to 99.1 to try and improve consistency, it's an option, but at that point you might be cutting off a few of your winning trades too. One option is that you could say that you need the RSI to have been in the overbought or oversold region for multiple days before you consider your entry. Alternatively, the amount of periods input can be raised. You can't call it the RSI-2 strategy if you do that, but extend out if you like anyway. The default for the indicator is 14 periods, although with levels at 95.5, you basically won't get signals using as many periods as 14. It is a balancing act with the levels and period inputs. Depending on your platform, there may be an infinite amount of options for you to try out. We saw a way to potentially improve on the money management aspect of the strategy as well. That was saying that for every 2 periods that the asset remained overbought or oversold after we entered the trade, we could add that same amount of risk onto the trade, or go martingale with it and double down on the risk volume each time. Doing this as every period that it remained overbought or oversold instead of every other period or every 3 periods, that would be quite risky, I'd say. You can of course add an ultimate stop loss to the strategy as well. You'll need to backtest whether that does work out better. Larry found that it didn't. You will inevitably end up with trades where your stop loss gets triggered right before that big reversal snap comes, which would have meant you saved money waiting for it to recross the 5 period moving average compared to as with the stop loss. However, it might well just save you from the ultimate trend, which is what you're really trying to avoid with this strategy. Any type of major trend, whether you add risk to the trade or not, the trend is going to keep on kicking you until eventually you are margin called. So there we go, not profitable on the RSI-2, but plenty of ways to try and change it to make it work. If you are someone dedicated to reversal strategies, that is. If that does sound like you, there is more information in the video description with a couple links. And remember, this strategy and all of our strategies and unless specified otherwise, they are traded with funny money. Demo, false, not real. And in this strategy, you can see why. Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade. I am Adam Smith's final descendant, and there will be more.